There's two 10mm bolts that go in right there and two that are down at the bottom. This side is broke, this side is good, so I'm going to disconnect the two coolant hoses that go into the head. Then there's a sensor, two of them. Now on to the exhaust manifold. 12mm. The extended socket will help. I got the exhaust manifold off. There were two bolts underneath mounted to a bracket that mounts to the back of the block. Then there was one bolt mounted to a bracket that's also mounted to the front of the block. The power steering pump probably should come off next, and then I'll probably just cut the timing belt, start removing the cams, and pull the head. I need to remove the power steering pump because there's a bracket here that also needs to be removed. There's a bolt right here. Once you unloosen it, it will allow the power steering pump to move. Alright, the power steering pump is loose, but I'm going to go ahead and remove these bolts to the bracket. And then that way I can just go ahead and start removing the head. And I'll remove all that shit once I get the head removed. It makes it so much easier. Alright, same thing I did on the Prelude. I'm going to pull the intake or the exhaust side, bag it, label it. That way I know where everything goes. E for exhaust. Alright, I got all the pieces off, and as before, E6, which is exhaust number 6, then the arrow points that way. The first one is E1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Same thing with the intake side. I1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can't get them confused. It's really quite simple. Then the cam is EX for exhaust. I'm going to start pulling the other side. And again, I'm going to bag these up, label them intake. And the intake, IN for intake. We got the rocker arms. They're not labeled. You do want to put these back where you got them from. You do not want to switch them up. So you label each one, put it in a separate baggie. So what I do is I put each one in a separate baggie and I label it. Exhaust side 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Intake side 1, 2, 3, and so on. I took the first one, and this is the exhaust side. So I'm gonna label it E1. Very simple. Do not wipe the oil off. You want to keep them lubricated. You don't want them to rust. This is a tedious process, but it'll save you a lot of time in the long run. I'll remove the timing the timing belt cover, the upper section. I am now going to start removing the head bolts so I can pull the head. I'm also going to label each head bolt the same. Exhaust 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, intake 1, 2, 3, and so on. Because I want to put, because you want to always put the head bolts back where they came from. And technically you should replace the head bolts, but I'm not going to do it. Alright, and everything is disconnected from the head, so I'm going to go ahead and pull it. I honestly cannot tell where the head gasket failed, and to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure if the head gasket failed. You can see where it's all worn out around here and here.